Today we are going to begin with a new chapter. Okay, lesson number 20, Indian Contract Act. Okay, just to make myself clear, this is a chapter of economics, business, and commercial laws, EBCL. Okay, part 3. In part 3 also you have various other parts. This is part of business laws. In business laws, this is the first chapter. If you see, business law begins with Indian Contract Act. It is the oldest act amongst all. Okay, Indian Contract Act. Based on this Indian Contract Act, we have various other contracts which we have already finished. Okay, we have done Indian Partnership, which is again a contract between partners. We have done Sale of Goods Act, which is again a contract of buying and selling of movable properties. We have also done Negotiable Instruments Act. Now, today I am beginning with this Indian Contract Act. It is a very, very vast chapter. Okay, but it comes for an average. If I tell you, it comes for an average of between like 6 to 8 marks, not more than that. Okay, so you will also have to study this chapter strategically. Okay, because it is like it is an endless topic in module, and so in my notes. Okay, I have made the notes, but it is again endless in my notes also. However, my notes are very precise. It will give you only the understanding of that particular topic. If you have understood the topic, you can give one example into it, nothing like it. Remember one thing, whenever you are writing your answers for this part 3 of business laws, make sure that if you can just write one example in your answer, give your own example, or if you remember any case law which is small and sweet, which is related to that topic or that question which they have asked, it is your answer. It will have it will gain, the person who is correcting will be able to understand that, oh, you're conceptually you are very clear. Okay, it is with the help of the examples only these entire lessons are based. Even Transfer of Property Act, there are so many examples in that. Indian Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act, any one case law which you remember and you feel that okay, it is related to that particular question, please jot it down. If you do not remember a case law, see to it if you can put one example which is related to the 2-3 lines. Okay, just explaining that example in 2 to 3 lines. Okay, to begin with, what is given in this chapter? Okay, they are going to make us understand first what is an agreement. Okay, when the agreement has all the essential elements of a contract, it becomes a valid contract. Then there can be certain flaws in the contract. Agreement that restrain particular trade. We have another different type of an agreement, wagering agreement. Okay, in types of agreement only we will cover wagering, we'll cover void agreement, etc. Then what is the concept? This is the concept of quantum merit. Then restitutions of agreements or contracts, contingent contract based upon an event. Then we have quasi contract, after which, sorry, quasi contract and contract of indemnity. Up till quasi contract, okay, Indian Contract Act, if you can say, no, it is split in two parts. Okay, Indian Contract Act, it is split into two parts. One is general contract, what is a contract, and special contracts. Okay, so in special contracts we are going to do 5 types of special contracts. One is indemnity, then we will do guarantee. It's a special type of contract, they have different provisions. Okay, then we'll do a bailment, pledge, and last is law of agency. Okay, so there are 5 special types of contracts. Okay, there are certain different governing factors. The provisions are little different. They have to follow the General Contract Act, but they have specific provisions for these types of special contracts. Okay, then the termination of agent, everything will come under the agency. Then we have joint venture agreements, and now everything happens over electronically. So e-contracts are now becoming very famous. Okay, now it is all on, if you have to register a partnership also, you have to get into a partnership agreement also, e-contracts are fairly available over the internet, the email. Okay, there is a signatures also which keep happening, digital signatures, okay, between one partner and another, and the contract is made. Okay, so now to begin with, okay, I am starting with the general contract. Okay, Indian Contract Act, if you want, you all can write it down, whatever I am also writing, so you all will have a flow of the chapter. Indian Contract Act. When I take you all through the module, the index of the first page, that is the outline of the chapter. The outline is barely given. Okay, hardly anything is given in the outline. Okay, it is just for you all to have a glance at it. Okay, we are going to study about so and so topics. However, there are many other topics which are to be dealt with in a given chapter. Okay, so now Indian Contract Act, I'm doing part 1. Okay, which is general contracts. Okay, understanding what is a contract first. Okay, general contracts. Now, first thing, in order to understand a contract, we have to understand what is an agreement. Okay, so agreement is nothing but there is an offer from one party, the other party is accepting that offer. Okay, so there is an offer and acceptance. In such a manner, an agreement can be enforceable enforceable in court of law. In court of law means when you go for any help based on that agreement to the court can help you based on this agreement. Okay, it should be enforceable in the eyes of law. It should have a valid essentials which should be present. Okay, so any agreement, first most important thing, it needs to have an offer plus acceptance, and it should be enforceable in the court of law. Once these two elements are present, they become a contract. They become a contract. Okay, so the contract, for a contract to be there, essentially there has to be two parties, na? Correct. Only then offer and acceptance can be there. Okay, so now this offer and acceptance. Okay, so say I am making an offer to sell my car. Okay, I have made an offer, okay, to Mr. B, that I would like to sell my car in rupees 1 lakh. Mr. B has to accept this offer. Okay. Once the offer is accepted, consideration will move from one party to another. Okay. And there will be possession given of a particular car. Okay. So now this particular agreement, okay, if it is having all the essentials of a valid contract, like it has the parties who are of sound mind, mutually they are contracting with each other, there is a consideration which is being involved. Okay, this is not any kind of an illegal activity. All these essentials are present, therefore this becomes a valid contract. Now this offer and acceptance, okay, you have to give it either express or it can be implied by the acts of the party. अभी express तो चलो समझ में आया. This is my example of expressed offer. Expressly over the oral, over the phone, or over a particular letter. I wrote a letter to Mr. B. Okay, I wrote a letter to Mr. B that I would like to sell my car to you. Okay, he has accepted it. He sent me rupees 1 lakh. I send him the papers of the car along with the possession of the car. This is a perfect example of an expressed contract, expressed offer and acceptance. But when it comes to implied, implied means presumed by law. It is present. Okay, though there is no express statement given. So say for example, you enter a taxi. Okay, you sit in a cab, correct? So when you sit in a cab and you get down at your destination, don't you pay? You pay money, okay, as per the meter. You have to pay your whatever the charges, okay, the fare for the ride. It is an implied offer and acceptance. Means the taxi had offered you to sit in his taxi and he would drop you somewhere. You accepted, you sat. That means you are going to pay the valid charges which are there for that particular ride. ओके, इट इज तभी बैठ के थोड़ी ना हम एक्सप्रेसली या बनाते हैं कोई अग्रीमेंट बनाते हैं, हाँ चलो मैं बैठ रही हूँ अभी तुम मुझे छोड़ोगे फिर मैं तुम्हें पैसा दूंगी, ऐसा तो नहीं होता है ना. तो इसके लिए इट इज नोन एज एन इम्प्लाइड अग्रीमेंट. ठीक है, यहाँ तक क्लियर. सो इफ एन अग्रीमेंट, that means an offer and acceptance, are made in an agreement in such a manner that they are enforceable in the court of law, enforceable by law, then they all become contracts. ठीक है. Okay, now in offers also, since I am on this example of implied offer and acceptance, so say in offers we have kinds of offers. First, you have a, say, standing offer. Okay, standing offer, which is generally, that offer is continuous in its nature. Okay, it is offered by one party, accepted by other. It's in the course of their business only. Okay, standing offer is always there. It is like a part of an agreement in which you keep on having that offer again and again, and acceptance is made by the same party again and again. Okay, then you have a, say, you can have a general offer. General, okay, general, like say an offer is made, okay, by any company, okay, to sell their shares. General offer to large amount of public, correct? And special offer, that means to a specific person. It is between those two specific people. Then you can have a counter offer and cross offer. Okay, cross offer. Now what is a counter offer? Counter offer is, in my example of sale of car, okay, where A had given an offer to B that I would like to sell my car to you. He had to accept it. Now say suppose Mr. B has also sent an offer to A. I would like to buy your car in rupees 80,000. Now this will become a counter offer, because what offer A has sent, based on the same subject matter, B is sending some other type of offer, counter offer. And cross offer means, say meanwhile when A was sending a letter to B for the sale, B was sending a letter to A for the purchase of the car. Subject matter same, okay, consideration also same, parties are also same. Okay, so cross offer and counter offer are again between those two specific parties. Okay, you go to buy some clothes, at a given stall, okay, and then that fellow says that 500 rupees, madam. Then you start bargaining. You say no, in 200 rupees you want to give, I will purchase it. It becomes a counter offer. It is between you same parties on the same subject matter. Okay, in counter offer there is a change in the consideration. In cross offer there is no change, it is everything remains the same. Okay, then you have an offer which is different. Offer is different than invitation to offer. Invitation to offer, these two are two different things. Okay, offer and invitation to offer is a two different things. Like say invitation to offer, best example will be auction. It is an invitation. Okay, the person who are sitting, okay, who are now interested in that auction product, they are supposed to move the offer from their side. Okay, in the auction sale. So invitation to offer and offer are two separate things. Okay, and in contracts, even tickets, when we buy movie tickets, tickets are also a contract. Okay, then over the telephone also you can do the contract over the phone. Then in olden days people used to do contracts over by sending post. Okay, so these are all also types of contracts. Right now there are few um, first I will take you all to the essentials of a valid contract. Okay, one statement is important: all contracts are agreements, but all agreements are not contract. That we just saw in the beginning. Okay, if your agreement has offer and acceptance, okay, enforceable by law, then that agreement becomes a contract. But once that agreement is a contract, that means all the contracts are essentially an agreement first, na? So to become a contract, what are the essentials which should be present? Okay, so under section 10, for an agreement to become a contract, it should have the following essential elements. Okay. Now, what are those essential elements? The first one, it should be by the free consent of the party. कोई जोर जबरदस्ती से नहीं. Free consent. Okay, parties mutually have agreed between them to have this agreement and then turn it into a contract. Second, it has to be for a lawful consideration. So if you are kind of entering into an agreement with some party in which you're taking consideration like drugs, okay, उसके बदले तुम बोल रहे तुम मुझे drugs दो, so then it becomes an unlawful consideration. No court is going to help you. Third, it should be for lawful object. So say suppose you are taking a contract to murder someone. Object itself is unlawful. Okay, and that particular contract should not be expressly void under law. Okay, there are certain agreements which are declared to be expressly void. Certain contracts also declared to be expressly void. Example, you can say betting. Okay, then minors contracts, these are all expressly declared to be void. They do not have any legal enforceability. Okay, so tomorrow if you enter into a contract with a minor, it is your fault. Okay, you cannot enforce that particular contract on the minor. Apart from Indian partnership agreement, where a minor can enter into an Indian partnership contract and can only enjoy the benefits of the partnership. Okay, only for the benefits of the partnership. That is okay. That is expressly given in law. But any type of other contract you are entering into with a minor, so suppose minor had come across to you asking you for a loan, you entered into an agreement for a loan, and in that you have written that, see, if you default, okay, I am going to take away your house. I'll keep your house as a mortgage. This contract, tomorrow if minor defaults also, you will not be able to take the help from the court. It is a expressly void agreement. Okay. Now with this, okay, void agreement, you have understood. Void contracts, okay, void contracts or void agreements, generally they are you know void ab initio. I will write the word void ab initio. That means they are void at the beginning. At the beginning itself. Okay. But there can be voidable contracts. Okay. Voidable contracts means what? They are at the option of aggrieved party. Of aggrieved party. The party who is facing or suffering any kind of a loss because of that contract, that agreed party has a right to make that particular contract voidable in nature. Okay. So void contracts are those which are itself in the law, in the eyes of law itself, they are kind of non enforceable, unenforceable. They are void from the beginning. Okay, voidable contracts are such that on a later stage at the option of the aggrieved party they become void. Even for void contracts there is one more word. One, void ab initio means at the beginning. Then there are certain contracts which were valid but later on they became void, so then they will be simply known as void. Okay, like for example, take that in between the hookah, this hookah, the hookah business was banned,
Yeah, after
correct?
the fire took place something.
Yeah, so then many places had to shut down. Why? Because that contract became void due to change of law. Pehle it was valid, now again it is valid, now again it is valid. Okay, so because in the change of law, the certain contracts which were valid earlier might become void now. Okay? Now let's move to the next part. So I have done section 10, essentials of a valid contract. Okay? Now coming to section 11. Under section 11, who can enter into contract? Okay, which people can enter into a contract? Firstly, they have to be major. Second, they have to be of sound mind. And thirdly, they should not be disqualified by law. Not disqualified. Specifically, there are certain people who are disqualified by law to enter into any kind of an agreement. Now, major means what? Above 18 years. Okay, so if you're above 18 years, you can enter into a contract. Therefore, minors contracts are void ab initio. From the very beginning only they are void. Okay, but for the benefit, okay, this question has been asked ना in exam. आप लोगों को लगेगा मैम क्यों ये बार बार बोल रही है, बट ये पूछा है. But for benefit of partnership firm, for the benefits of partnership firm, a minor can be, okay, entered as a partner, okay, by making a valid contract. Also, there are certain contracts which are for the purpose of supplying necessities to a minor. Okay, supply of necessities. Necessities to a minor. Okay, in that case, again, yes, the contract is valid. Okay, see, there is a particular minor who is living with the guardian. Okay, and the parents are somewhere else. So if the parents have contracted with a particular party that my minor is staying here, you're supposed to supply the minor all the necessary things, food, water, this, that. So then those type of contracts are valid. Okay, which are supplied to a minor. Okay, or if a guardian is entering into a contract on behalf of the minor for purpose of supplying him necessities. The guardian can enforce such contracts from the estate of minor. Okay, so these are specifically those contracts which are okay in eyes of law. Okay, for minor. Okay, now sound mind. Okay, now sound mind is given under section 12. Sound mind means what? A person who is capable capable of understanding, plus forming a rational decision. Okay, that is known as a person of sound mind. He is capable of understanding and forming a rational decision. So who are those who are not capable of understanding and cannot form a rational decision? Then specifically they say idiots. Idiots are those people who are permanently in unsound mind. Okay, permanently unsound. They are never able to make any kind of rational decisions. Then those who are lunatic. Lunatic are those people who get these strokes, okay, in which they lose the capability of understanding anything. And third, due to maybe depression or something like that. And third is drunkard. So while they are drunk, okay, only when they are sober it's fine. But if drunk, then again we treat them, law treats them as of unsound mind. Okay, so sound mind are only those people capable of understanding and forming a rational decision. And lastly, okay, lastly is the people who are specifically disqualified by law. Let's move to that. Okay, okay, not disqualified by law. So there are people who are disqualified by law. Firstly, alien enemy. What is an alien enemy? You all know? Have you all heard about this word? Anyone? Alien enemy. Say, suppose you had entered into a contract with a person staying in Germany, and all of a sudden India and Germany are at war. So it becomes an alien enemy. The contract becomes void. वैलिड था पहले, लेकिन अभी void हो गया. Void ab initio नहीं था. समझा?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. Next is a convict who is already convicted by law for some or the other, crime or anything. Then sovereigns. Okay, sovereigns are basically, you have special provisions related for a contract when you enter to the sovereign of the nation. Fourth is insolvents, the ones who are already adjudicated insolvents. You cannot enter into any contracts with them. And also a corporate body cannot enter into any contract which is personal in nature, which is personal. Okay, like personal in nature, I'll tell you example: marriage. A corporate body cannot enter into such types of contracts. Okay, is that fine? Right. So section number 11 and 12 is complete with the persons with whom you can enter into a contract. Right. Moving to the next one is the section number 13. Okay. So now section 13 talks about the consent. I told you it should be a free consent. No, there should not be any kind of a forceful consent. Okay, so free consent. So consent is given under section 13. Okay, consent means agreed. Okay, whatever I am saying, okay, whatever I am offering, the opposite party is accepting. Same thing. Okay, we are on the same terms. That means we are consensus ad idem. We both parties are on the same terms. Okay, agreeing on the same thing. Okay, agreeing same thing in same sense. Okay, so now say for example I have put an I have put an invitation inviting people, okay, to enter, to pay for a particular concert, tickets for a concert in which Sunny is going to perform. Now there are two Sunny. Okay, now which party has understood what? That is a actual, difference in understanding. Okay, you must have bought the tickets understanding that Leon is coming, but they all has entered. Okay, so same thing in same sense is very important when I talk about consent. Then there was one, case law regarding Lucy and regarding a peerless ship. Okay, so now peerless, and then somebody understood peerless. So the same thing on same sense was not present. There are certain case laws. We'll come to those case laws as well. So they say that consent should be in such a manner so that when the court needs to help you out, the court has to first understand whether parties have understood the same thing and then also they are having a dispute. Then it will not be correct. But the parties' understanding was also not there on the same thing. Then yes, there can be a dispute. Okay. This consent has to be a free consent under section 14. Okay, now when a consent is said to be free, okay, consent is said to be free if it is not caused by any of the following. What is that? Okay, let's see. Okay, if it is not caused by any of the following. Firstly, okay, coercion. You all have done this coercion in IPC, Indian Penal Code.
That means by force.
Sorry?
That means by force, right?
Yes, by force. Okay, तुम किसी को डरा धमका के, okay, coercion. If you are doing something like that, then yes, you are like putting, you are telling, बस sign करो अभी. तो you're on a gunshot, otherwise I'll kill you. The coercion which are there under IPC, if you are trying to get into a contract with a particular party by means of coercion, then it is not said to be a free consent. Secondly, okay, next one is undue influence. Undue influence. Okay, now what is an influence? Influence is like a dominant position, okay, you have over that particular person. Okay, so you have a dominant position and you try to take an undue, means an unfair advantage. Okay, so like you are the only MD or the chairman of a particular company, you feel that I am only dominating, it is everybody is acting on whatever I say, whatever I do. I will enter into any kind of an agreement with a contract with some other party. You are trying to take unfair advantage of your position in the company. You are trying to enter into contracts on behalf of the company. Okay, so you are basically using your dominant position and taking an unfair advantage. Okay, so if any particular person, okay, is into depression, and you know that this particular person is into depression or he's really ill, he's kind of losing his senses, Okay, you are already there taking care and you have a dominant position over this type of person, and you make him sign a will in which you have written that all the property will belong to me. Correct? Undue influence. Remember. Same thing goes like with fraud. Like you are committing fraud, you're trying to cheat. Okay, literally, knowingly. Okay, so fraud is an purposeful intention to deceive. Intention to deceive, that is given under section 17. Okay, so when you have an intention to deceive, it is known as fraud. So whenever there is no free consent, okay, the opposite party, the aggrieved party, which are suffering a loss, they have a full chance of making that particular contract voidable in the court of law. ठीक है, यहाँ तक समझा fraud. Then number 4 is a misrepresentation, innocent misrepresentation. Misrepresentation. Okay, now say I'll give you an example. Innocent misrepresentation में क्या होगा? Say I ordered, okay, a dress online. Okay, online from, say, Amazon. Okay, now when that dress came, okay, it was the same dress, but the size was different. Size was wrong. Okay, so now there must be some mistake on the site of Amazon in which I click the size, but वो कभी order place ही नहीं हुआ. Innocent misrepresentation. Okay, Amazon does not have any kind of intention to deceive the opposite party. Immediately, I am the aggrieved party. I cancelled it. I got a refund because I am an aggrieved party. Innocent misrepresentation. Okay, can also be said to be one of the ways where free consent is not there. I do not consent. It's not a free consent for me to take the size which Amazon has sent to me. Correct? Okay. And lastly, okay, so this free consent is innocent misrepresentation uh, is under section 18. Yes. It is under section 18. Make false representation. Presentation. Okay. Believing it to be true. Believing it to be true. Okay, you made a false representation to a party because you only self thought that अरे नहीं नहीं ये बराबर है सच ही है, किसी ने तुम्हें बताया तुमने उसको बताया, तो you're making a false representation but you were believing it in that false representation, you really didn't know. Okay, so innocent misrepresentation. Okay, under section 18 and under section 20 you have something known as a mutual mistake. Mistake on both the parties. Party giving an offer, party accepting an offer, mistake on both the parties. Mutual mistake. In case of mutual mistake, a contract is void. Always remember. In case of mutual mistake under section 20, a contract stands to be void. Why? Because I just told consensus ad idem. Both the parties have to be on the same thing in the same sense at the same time. If that is only not present, the contract itself is treated as void. But apart from that, apart from mutual mistake, if the consent is other than free consent, means the consent is with coercion, undue influence, fraud, or innocent misrepresentation, then in that case, contract is voidable. Voidable at the option of aggrieved party. समझ में आ रहा है ना? You are able to understand, right? Because it is not possible for us to sit and study and mug up this chapter. Okay, you need to understand the concept. behind each and everything which is being taught. Okay, so in case of mutual mistake, the contract becomes void. Apart from that, not a problem. You say the party, the aggrieved party, can make the contract voidable. Okay. Now a mistake is a little longer topic, but I would like to kind of finish it with mistakes. So say mistake is an erroneous belief. ठीक है? Okay, इसको erroneous belief. Okay, now mistakes can be of two types. Okay, mistake of law, and there can be mistake of fact. Okay, बिल्कुल भी कंफ्यूज मत होना. ओके, अगर म्यूचुअल मिस्टेक है, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इज void. ठीक है. नाउ आई एम टेकिंग यू टू लिटिल बिट ऑफ detail in the mistake, very simple detail. Okay, now let's see. In that there will be a change. Certain contracts will be void only, certain will be voidable. Okay, now mistake of law. In mistake of law, there are two types of law. One is foreign law, one is Indian law. Okay, in case of foreign law, if there is a mistake in you understanding the foreign law, then it will be treated as mistake of fact. Mistake of fact. ठीक है, तो then we will see the rules of mistake of fact in that case. But if there is a mistake in case of you understanding an Indian law, it is no excuse. There cannot be a mistake of law. Okay, you cannot breach a particular contract based on breach of law. Okay, you are supposed to know the law. If you are entering into a contract with a party, you are supposed to know in and out about the law applicable with that particular subject matter. Okay, with that particular person. So ignorance of law is no excuse. Ignorance of law is no excuse. Okay, here law says contract is valid, very much valid. You did not know the law. Law cannot do anything for you. You have to fulfill your promise which you have entered into the contract for. समझा? Now coming to mistake of fact. Okay, अभी mistake of fact में one thing, it can be a unilateral mistake, one side party, unilateral mistake, or it can be a bilateral mistake. Okay, bilateral mistake. Now we'll just finish with unilateral mistake, where unilateral mistake is where any one party is at mistake. तो फिर क्या करना चाहिए? Contract valid, void, क्या? Okay, so generally what happens is contract is valid. Okay, or it can be say voidable when, or totally void when. Okay, it will be voidable, simple. It will be voidable if it is one party mistake, if it was induced by fraud और मिसरेप्रेजेंटेशन. तो बराबर है ना? मिसरेप्रेजेंटेशन से है या तो फ्रॉड किया आपने दूसरी पार्टी के साथ. ओके, तो ऑब्वियसली वो एक पार्टी का मिस्टेक ही होने वाला है. तो वेर एनी वन पार्टी हैज मिस्टेक, बट दैट मिस्टेक इज कॉज्ड by you kind of deceiving that party or giving them false misrepresentations, then yes, it will be voidable. Okay, but when it will be void, when that unilateral party, okay, that person is, say, suppose illiterate, okay, and he did not know only about the nature of contract, then obviously it is going to be a void contract. Also, the unilateral mistake was regarding identity of person. Okay, so apart from these three things, induced by fraud or misrepresentation, the person is illiterate, he could not understand only what he has signed, and a unilateral mistake regarding the identity of person. If these three things exist, then only it can be voidable or void. Otherwise, in all the cases, one party mistake, contract stays valid. Okay, now I'll give you an example of this illiterate. Okay, say suppose there was this Mr. X, okay, X and company. Okay, they were giving loans to farmers. Okay, loans to farmers. Okay, so they were calling each farmer every time and they were granting them the loan and giving them money. Now, this farmer A, okay, he came to X and company. Okay, and over there was another contract which was, lying down on the table. It was a contract of, say, indemnity or insurance contract was there. He did not know it and he signed it. Illiterate, he can't read. Nor did Mr. X and company has done any fraud. Okay, he has just signed it. You cannot enforce no such contracts, obviously, right? So if it is an illiterate person signs certain things by mistake, it's okay. It happens. It becomes a void contract. You have to make. He has signed it. Obviously, you're not going to use that same paper, no, again. So void contract. Say about the identity of the person. Unilateral mistake about identity. Identity of a person. Okay. Now say in this I'll give you an example. Okay, A is a buyer. Okay, he has got this standing orders, like constant orders are given to B. Okay, B is a seller. हमेशा का है A और B के बीच में, A हमेशा बाय करता है B के पास से ही. However, B's business was sold. Business sold to C. Okay, so now C became the owner. Because of the standing orders contract which is there between A and B, C went ahead and supplied goods to A. Okay, delivered goods to A. Okay, without any communication. Okay, now neither B informed A, neither C informed A that the business is sold. Nothing. Without any communication, he had supplied the goods to A. Now here there is a mistake of identity. What did A do? A denied to take the delivery. Seeing the invoice or C is signed, he called up C is like, what is this? Where is Mr. B? So he's saying that B to sold the business to me. I said, sorry, I do not want to do a business with you. I have been doing this business because I have that good terms with Mr. B. I want to do business with him only. होते हैं ना? Like there will be 10 stalls around in our area to buy bread, but you will go to that particular person only to go and buy bread. करते हैं ना हम? तो वैसा ही है ये. Okay, so when there is a unilateral mistake regarding the identity of a person, the contract will be void. ठीक है? Now coming to the bilateral mistake. Now what is bilateral mistake? Mistake between both the parties are mistaking where, so I have already told you, where both the parties make mistake. Then there is no other question. Here the contract is what? Okay. So say examples of bilateral mistake. You can have bilateral mistake about the existence of subject matter. Okay, existence of the subject matter. Say example, like there was a contract of selling of a horse. Okay, the buyer and seller, they entered into a contract. Buyer had first gone and seen the horse also, but while they could execute the contract, the horse died, which even the seller didn't know. So it's a mistake about the existence of the subject matter. Subject matter ही नहीं रहा, contract किसका बनाओगे तुम? Correct. Then bilateral mistake regarding identity of the person. Sorry, identity of subject matter. Both were not on the same terms. Example I gave you, Sunny. है ना? Then bilateral mistake is on quantity. About quantity, both have understood different quantity of products to be supplied. Absolutely, contract will be void only. Bilateral quantity, bilateral mistake about quality. Again, fifth bilateral mistake is regarding the price. Okay, there is a dispute regarding the price now over here. And last, bilateral mistake regarding the ownership. अभी ये क्या हो सकता है? ये ownership, identity, correct? So say take an example. A, he is a buyer. Okay, he goes ahead and buys. He is a commercial agent. Okay, he's a commercial agent. Okay, so he buys 110 lakhs property, commercial property from B. However, the property value, okay, property value, which then he came to know from his principal that it is 12 lakhs. So again, there is a bilateral mistake about the price. Also, buyer then is saying that, oh no, I do not want to buy it from this commercial agent and all. Okay, so there is a mistake about both the things, about price as well as ownership. So the contract will be void. All right, mistakes have been understood.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you have wager agreements. Okay, after wager I'll stop. Under section 30 we have wager agreements. Now this wager means betting, na? Wager agreements are void. Okay, void. They are void agreements only. Contract नहीं बनते वो. They are known as betting agreements. ठीक है? Especially in Mumbai and Gujarat. I think some other states have been also entered into this, in which they have made wagering agreements declared to be illegal. Completely. Declared to be illegal only. तो अभी illegal है तो contract कहाँ से बनेगा ना? However, there is a question whether commercial transactions, okay, whether they are wager agreements or not. Commercially, अगर तुम कुछ enter कर रहे हो, okay, if the delivery of the goods is not intended only, like say delivery of shares or stock, you are just doing betting on price, derivatives. In derivatives, actually, you do not take any, like in options, forward contract, swap contract, you do not take any delivery of any shares or stock. You just play on the price. Okay, buying and selling of the stock just keeps happening based on the price. There is no stock coming into your account. Okay, so these are all those agreements. Then in that case, since it is present, okay, very much there, so these are not void. Okay, especially in case of derivatives. But yes, where there is some commodity like goods, okay, where delivery is not intended only, then they will become wager. Okay, then they will become wager. So in this case, you have to just understand there are two exceptions. One is horse race, it is allowed, wager agreements in horse race, and in case of derivatives, it is allowed. Apart from this, no wager agreements are allowed. All the wager agreements are void. All right. So I'll just take you all quickly to the notes and what you all have to study for this chapter. Okay. Do not get scared looking at the notes or the module. It is pretty simple. Okay. There are certain important things only which you all have to look up into this Indian Contract Act. Okay. Firstly, okay, what is the term contract? You just do section 2 subsection H of Indian Contract Act, which defines a contract. Okay, and this is the question that all the contracts are agreement, but all agreements are not contract. Okay, all contracts are agreement, but all agreements are not contracts. Okay, if they ask for this, comment on this particular statement. Okay, so it is until here. Then you have to do the essentials of a valid contract, capable, fourth and fifth. Then we have types of contract. I told you valid contract, void contract, void agreement, illegal agreement. On the basis of formation, you can have an express, you can have an implied. Quasi, we will do it later. And on basis of execution, you can have an executed contract, complete, signed by the parties. And certain contracts are yet executory in nature. Okay. Then on basis of enforceability, valid, voidable contract, void contract. Once you have, you do not have to learn. Okay, but once you have understood this, no, every time, okay, even in your work in CS, okay, in future, this is very very helpful. It is a general contract act. Okay, it is like a general law which we all should know. So go through it: valid contract, voidable contract, void agreement, and illegal agreement. Basis of formation, they are all two lines. Okay, two lines you need to know. Two lines of each. What does they mean? Just the meaning. Two lines of each. What do they mean? Okay? And on basis of execution. Correct? Now, what is an offer and how is an offer made? To whom the offer can be made? Essentials of a valid offer. Now, this is too much in detail. Okay, so here what you can do is you can just make one small answer of 5 marks, wherein answer of 5 marks. You can just write a little bit that what is an offer, okay, and what should be the essential elements of the what should be there in the offer. Then you have meaning of a cross offer given with the example. Then you have meaning of a standing offer also given with an example. Okay, you do not have to do all this lapse offer for revocation. Okay, invitation to offer, yes, this you can do. Offer must be distinguished from a declaration of intention and invitation to offer. And difference between offer and invitation to offer. Okay. Then we have acceptance. Come directly to acceptance, essentials of a valid acceptance. Okay. Then you don't have to do anything with this communication and all that. Simple. Consideration. Consideration is nothing but it is a promise moving from one party to another. So if I am promising you to sell my car, there is a consideration moving from your end to pay me the money for that car. Okay, however, in consideration, I'll take it up later on what you have to do in consideration. Okay, because yeah, capacity to contract I have done. Major, sound, minor, and they should not be disqualified. Okay, so for minors, you have to do this important. And this case law, Mohri Bibi versus Dharmodas. This is a very one nice vanilla case law. You can quote it whenever this minor question is asked. Then who is a person of unsound mind? Okay, and persons disqualified by law. This is all what I have done. In two lines, you have to just know everything. Okay. Then free consent. In free consent, what is misrepresentation? What is fraud? Then instead of doing that, no, I will say do this. They ask this difference between misrepresentation and fraud. Then what is coercion? Okay. This you can just read. What is undue influence? Then the examples also they have given. Dominating party examples. There are many examples. You can choose whichever you want to write. See the number of examples given here. Okay. Then distinguish between coercion and undue influence. Okay. Then there are certain agreements which are expressly declared to be void. Okay. Mistakes, agreement and restraint of trade. You cannot get into any agreement with any person where you're restraining him to carry out any trade. Okay, those types of agreements are void. Okay, how can you restrain any person to carry out his business? Okay, so those types of agreements are void. Even agreement by way of wager. ठीक है. Until this only you have to finish reading it. Just read it once and see to my notes, and if you can copy like whatever I write, and if you can copy and keep it, you will have a full flow of the chapter ready. You will not have to go internally and keep reading it. All right, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, okay, thank you so much everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.